Welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something pretty significant, a development that could genuinely change the game for professionals moving between India and the UK. We're talking about this new India-UK Professional Recognition and Mobility Pact. And look, this isn't just some standard diplomatic handshake. It's got real teeth, real implications for potentially thousands of skilled people. So our mission today, to properly break down what this pact means, how it's supposed to make things easier for, skilled folks looking to work across borders. There are actually some surprising bits in here, things that make it really quite interesting when you look closer. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, right off the bat, is how this agreement tackles a problem that's been around for ages. A real headache, actually. Think about it. For years, if you were a qualified professional, say, in India, wanting to work in the UK or vice versa, you often face this maze of different standards, extra licensing hoops, just tons of red tape. It could take forever, sometimes meaning you practically had to re-qualify. This pact, it's trying to cut through all that. It recognizes that in today's world, talent needs to move easily. It's not just nice to have. It's essential for growth, for innovation.
That's a great way to put it. It really hits home why this matters to individuals on the ground. So the core of it all is this commitment, right? India and the UK have formally agreed they will negotiate these things called mutual recognition agreements, or MRAs, and they're not messing around with the timeline either. They've set a 36-month window to get these finalized.
Exactly. Pre-ambitious time frame.
And this all came about alongside that bigger trade deal, the India-UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, signed back on July 24th, 2025. So it's clearly a key piece of that larger economic puzzle.
Oh, absolutely interlinked.
Now, for those of you wondering which professions might benefit first, they've actually named some specific targets: nurses, accountants, architects, and dentists.
And including those MRAs is absolutely critical. It directly addresses the kind of friction I was just talking about. You see, when you move to a new country with its own rules, its own professional bodies, getting your existing qualifications formally recognized, well, it's everything. You literally can't practice without it. Take a nurse, for instance. Highly skilled, years of experience in India, but without an MRA, they might land in the UK and face, needing full re-exams or long supervised periods, even if their skills are perfectly good.
That sounds incredibly frustrating.
It is. Or an architect from India struggling to get their past projects accepted, maybe having to redo design work or licensing exams. These MRAs are designed specifically to cut through those administrative layers, those regulatory hurdles that have slowed things down or blocked people completely in the past.
So it makes the pathway much smoother.
Precisely. It means Indian qualifications get officially accepted in the UK, making it quicker and easier to get the necessary licenses and actually start working. Less time waiting, more time contributing.
Okay, that clarifies the MRA part really well. But you mentioned it goes beyond just the qualifications. Here's where it gets really interesting. This CETA deal also brings in what they're calling an assured mobility regime, specifically for Indian professionals heading to the UK.
Yes, this is about the actual visas, the practicalities of entry and stay.
Exactly. It's not just if your qualifications count, but how you can physically get there and for how long. Let's maybe walk through some of these categories. First, business visitors. They get quite a decent chunk of time, up to 90 days within any 6-month period. Good for those short-term meetings, consultations, that kind of thing.
Vital for initial groundwork.
Then there's a big one, intra-corporate transferees, people moving within the same company. They can stay for up to 3 years. And this is quite important. It explicitly includes accompanying partners and dependents, and graduate trainees too.
That's a huge plus. Makes it much more feasible for people with families and great for companies developing talent.
Definitely. Okay, moving on. Contractual service suppliers. They get 12 months access within any 24-month period. This seems key for project work. They mention sectors like IT, finance, hospitality, transport. Quite a range.
Yeah, reflects the modern service economy.
And similarly, independent professionals. Also 12 months access in a 24-month window. But this covers even more Ground 16 sectors listed, things like telecom, consultancy, finance again, and finally, investors. They get a solid 1-year stay allowed. It really seems quite comprehensive, covering different ways people might engage professionally.
It is. But here's a detail that honestly makes this agreement really stand out. It's explicitly stated that these mobility routes are designed without numerical caps or economic needs testing.
Okay, unpack that a bit. What does economic needs testing usually mean, and why is ditching it significant?
Right. So typically an economic needs test means an employer has to prove they couldn't find a local person for the job before hiring someone from overseas. It involves advertising, interviews, a whole justification process, can be lengthy and complex.
I see.
Removing that and removing any hard limits, any quotas on the number of people who can use these routes, that's a big deal. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it signals a really high level of trust between India and the UK.
More than just facilitating, it's like opening the door wider.
Exactly. It moves away from a very controlled, almost restrictive model toward something much more open for skilled people. It cuts out a major layer of bureaucracy and uncertainty. It makes the whole process potentially much faster and simpler for everyone involved.
That's quite a statement of intent, isn't it, to go that far without caps or those tests?
It really is. It suggests both sides see this talent flow as a definite win-win, driving growth and innovation for both economies.
So what does this all mean then for the actual timeline? When does this kick in? It's important for you to understand the sequencing here. CETA was signed July 2025, but the actual talks on the MRAs, the nitty-gritty of qualification recognition, they start after the main free trade agreement is fully enforced.
Right, there's that step first.
And ratifying the FTA itself could take maybe up to a year after the UK Parliament approves it, which people think might be around mid-2026. But, and this is key, officials are sticking to that 36-month target for getting the MRAs done, especially for nursing, accounting, architecture, dentistry. That 36-month clock starts ticking once the FTA is actually implemented.
So there's a clear plan, even with the stages involved.
Yeah, a roadmap is definitely there. So what does this all mean when you pull back and look at the strategy?
Well, strategically, these MRA provisions, combined with the mobility framework, they really are a landmark advancement in the India-UK relationship. It's about much more than just individual jobs.
Deepening the ties.
Profoundly. And remember, these mobility parts don't exist in isolation. They work alongside the other CETA benefits, like the tariff reductions you mentioned, getting rid of tariffs on 99% of Indian exports to the UK, phasing them down on 90% of UK exports to India. That helps goods move more easily too.
Right, it's all connected.
It is. There are also safeguard measures in the trade deal, allowing temporary tariff hikes if imports threaten local industries, aiming for balance. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the MRAs and the mobility rules are really the next essential step. They deliver on the promise within CETA for better professional movement and cooperation.
It sounds like a really holistic approach.
It absolutely is. It signals this long-term vision. It's not just about selling more stuff to each other. It's about building these lasting economic and professional links, creating a partnership where talent, goods, services, they all flow much more freely.
Okay, that paints a very clear picture. So, just to sum up this deep dive for you listening, what we've essentially got is India and the UK putting a formal 36-month plan in place to recognize each other's professional qualifications in key areas. This, backed up by these pretty generous visa pathways in CETA, is really set to smooth the way for much greater professional mobility. The bottom line is, these MRAs could genuinely open doors for thousands of Indian professionals looking for opportunities in the UK, changing career paths and strengthening the bond between the two countries.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. Think about how agreements like this, these really detailed strategic pacts, might shape things beyond just jobs. Could they actually influence education itself? Encourage universities and professional bodies in both India and the UK to align their training standards even more, knowing that collaboration is the future. It raises an important question about building that pipeline for seamless talent flow down the road.
That's a fascinating point to ponder. Okay, that wraps up our deep dive for today. All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.